It is time now to let it rip. I'm Charlie Langton.
And I'm Marielle Liu. The question is, should Michigan do more to help former criminals find gainful employment after serving their time? Some states have banned the box on the job applications, and it's possible to have criminal records expunged. Would this help the economy, or should employers be made aware of people's criminal records?
All right, with us today is Alvin Hill. Now, Alvin served 9 years in prison for armed robbery and home invasion. And since his release, just about 3 years or so ago, he has had difficulty finding traditional employment and is currently self-employed. Next to him, Maureen Taylor. She's chair of the Michigan Welfare Rights Organization. She's been on Let It Rip before. She says we've got to do more to help people like Alvin. And then Tharon X, conservative radio talk show host, is here. He's going to say, let the boss make the decision. But Alvin, let me start with you right now. 9 years in prison, armed robbery. When you've applied for jobs and the boss asks you, are you a convicted felon, what do you say?
I'll always tell the truth. I feel like as long as I'm honest, it's up to the boss to make a decision. And you don't want to start any type of relationship with lies. So I don't want to come in as an employee and, based off of false pretenses.
You're truthful, you're honest. What's the reaction in the bosses that you've interviewed with?
It's a nice response at first, but you rarely get a call back. It could be criminal history. It could be, underqualified, and sometimes you could be overqualified. I can't just say it's just because of the criminal history. I don't have a college degree or anything to make me feel like, just my felony is the reason I'm not getting a job. But, I haven't had a job since I've been home.
Have you ever lied to get a job?
Never.
No.
Never.
Do you have more than one conviction on your record?
I have a juvenile conviction, but it was expunged because I completed probation. So that wouldn't be on the record. But I have one case, and it's just a lot of charges in the one case.
So likely you're not eligible. We'll bring the judge on. We have a judge coming on, but you are not eligible to get your record expunged.
Not at all.
Likely. Do you think, real quick, do you think that it's because of your criminal history, 9 years in prison, armed robbery, that that's the reason you're not getting a traditional job?
I feel like after 9 years, I was incarcerated from 18 to 27. I have no work history.
Yeah. So
sometimes it could be a nice opportunity. It could be the felony, like I said. It could be being underqualified and not having work history. It's a lot coming with being in prison for so long, other than just having a felony. But I feel like, you have to pay attention to the felony. That's why they ask. They wouldn't ask you if they didn't care about it.
Maureen, do you think he deserves a second chance?
I think he does have a work history. I think that he has served his time. He didn't break out of jail. And whatever it is, the crime that was committed, it's done. There's a problem with full disclosure, because full disclosure only means on my side of the realm. We want to know about employees that are filing applications for jobs. What about the employer that has a 3-drink martini at the middle of the day and gets a DUI 3 or 4 or 5 times and comes back to the job and takes advantage of women and men, chasing folks around the job with crime and criminal behavior in the past? Why should we not know something about their history as well? Just the other day, somebody in the Ford family called the police and said, my husband is beating me. And somebody came out, somebody was arrested, and the next day it became, it was just a small issue. I want to know about that particular Ford owner. How many DUIs does he have?
But you're not applying for a job at Ford, are you?
I could be, but I want to know on the other side, why is it that just the serfs, the workers, have to do full disclosure? I want to know about that lord of the land. I want to know about that owner. DUIs, how many times have they not filed their taxes and all those kinds of things.
So you then think then that there is a relationship between being a good worker and now you're saying a good boss and a previous criminal history.
I believe that there is a relationship and it should be explored on both sides and not always on mine.
What do you think, Tharon?
Should the boss know? How about disclosure? I didn't really realize that's going to be...
That's 100% smokescreen argument. Look, it's nobody's business.
Do the best you can.
It's nobody's business what the boss does.
It's everybody's business what the boss does.
I sat here and be quiet while you were talking. So you be quiet.
Here comes the boss talking.
Now, the boss...
Stay in my place.
If the boss has 5 DUIs, I want to know who he is because I want to go kick his personally, okay? But here's the bottom line. If you are asking somebody for a job, you're the one sitting in the hot seat answering questions. And with all due respect, I think that the boss should be able to know everything about you. And it's nobody's business what the boss does or doesn't do. It's up to them to make a decision on what they want to do with their own business. We've gone so far down this path of progressivism that you can't do anything now without getting permission from the government to do something. Now, I think this man here deserves a second, maybe even a third chance. Of course, you got to take it on a case-by-case basis. You can't discriminate against people just because they did something wrong in the past, but you need to weigh it into your decisions. And he made a good point. Full disclosure, complete honesty. So that's what it's about.
So what does it mean to you that overwhelmingly the statistics show if you do have a felony on your record, employers are saying no thank you to those applicants?
Well, overwhelmingly, you've got recidivism, big time, hugely so.
Is that because they can't get jobs? Then they
if it isn't, that's a poor excuse too. Because you don't have any money is no excuse to commit a crime.
Not connected.
Because you don't have any money is no excuse to commit a crime.
Let's take a look at the statistics, though. We've got a stat here. The Center for Economic and Policy Research, they say that people that are not able to get jobs, felons who cannot get jobs, they cost the United States economy between $57 and $65 billion a year in lost economic impact. That's huge, which would seem to me perhaps to scream that maybe we should do something to at least give people like Alvin a second chance.
Let's go back. Let's go back. That's what you need to do. See, we're starting at a jump-off point that doesn't address the reality of the situation, that the reason Alvin and many like him have made very bad decisions in their life is because there's nobody there to say, stop doing that.
But what does that do now? Now that he's looking for a job,
I know.
what does it do to say
that's a very real concern. I get that. Okay. But we still need to go back and address that because you're getting more people out there now making really bad decisions when this government's making excuses for anybody that commits a crime.
Right. We have a lot of elected officials that are making bad decisions every day. We have a lot of people in the government that are making bad decisions every single day, and we never hold them responsible or accountable, except when people tell us that the thing to do is to go hire someone else at the voting activity. This conservative argument is very interesting, but it holds no water. We have to find a way to train, teach, employ, and engage everybody that lives in this country in an activity that promotes the society to be free, to be safe, and to let us move ahead.
That's the excuse that's been made by progressives since day one. And look at Detroit right now. Detroit is her argument.
Do you live in Detroit?
I'm born and raised in Detroit.
Do you live here now?
I live in Ann Arbor right now.
Stay out there in Ann Arbor and mind your business.
You don't tell me what to do. I'll come into Detroit anytime I want to. But you know why I don't go to Detroit? Because I'm afraid of getting shot because people like you've been running that city.
Well, see, all you have to do is stay in Ann Arbor. Then you'll have to worry about getting shot.
Oh, that's drifting out there. It's drifting out there.
Yeah, we don't need your help.
Hold on, Maureen, hold on.
This woman got seriously bad attitude.
Alvin, maybe the focus should be on the employers. That the employers in this world have to be told or educated or promoted that people like you, who've done your time, are good people. Yeah. And maybe that's where the focus should be. And you know what? Maybe in the job interview, maybe you've got to do more. Is that true?
It could be true. I'm an employer myself now. So I know what I look for in hiring people and hiring out, to do things. It has nothing to do with a felony. It has something to do with getting the job done. So that's the big thing. You need to understand who you are dealing with and could they get the job done.
And it's a weird question. While you're in prison, you're very restricted, but you can be a good prisoner or a bad prisoner.
That's the whole
Might you be able to use that you are good in prison as some background to get that job?
Absolutely.
But you can show skills. Like sometimes you got to give people a chance. So if they hire you in and they say, well, it's a 90-day probation and you can show that you can come on time, get the job done, you're not there to, lollygag around. And, it seems like you shouldn't be stopped at the door just because you have a felony on your record. I'm not saying just because you have a felony on your record, you should be hired either, because it's knuckleheads wherever you go. And I did 9 years. I didn't deal with everybody that was in prison. I mean, I probably dealt with 3 or 4% of the people that was around.
You made a good point. too. You made a good point. You got to go by the record of what happened.
All right, let's hold that thought for just one moment. Alvin, stick around, okay? Don't go anywhere. Everyone, we're going to continue this conversation. Should we make it a little easier for people with felonies on their record to get a job? Or should the employer know everything about the people they hire? We also want to know what you're thinking. Please use the hashtag #LetItRip, and you may very well see your comments at the end of this show. Quick break, back in a moment.
Because otherwise,
oh boy, this commercial break has been very interesting. Welcome back. With us now, Judge Deborah Thomas, who served as a judge in the Third Circuit Court for 20 years and more. She says that Michigan is not doing enough to rehabilitate people with criminal records, and even advises some people to move out of the state to places that have banned the box on job applications. Also returning is Maureen Taylor and Thayron X. Judge, first question to you. First, thank you for being here. So you do believe that people should move because they will not get opportunities here in Michigan if they have a felony on their record?
I think that if people are constantly being denied employment because they have a felony conviction, the felony may have absolutely no relationship to whatever job they're looking for. There are at least 20 states in these United States that have a statewide policy ban the box. So life is short. And if you need employment, go where you can get it. Go where having a felony does not automatically stop you at the door.
Ban the box means that the employer cannot ask if you have a criminal history, right?
Yeah.
It's not on the job application. It doesn't mean they can't ask. What it basically does is it allows a person an opportunity to have their qualifications, their experience evaluated on an even playing field. Oftentimes the person in human resources will look at the job application and they know where that question, have you been convicted of a felony? They know where that question is on the application. They take one look at that, they don't, and put it in the round file cabinet, shall we say. The
garbage, in other words?
There it is.
Yes, nice.
But, and never really give the individual an opportunity to have the application reviewed, to an interview. Now, the way that it works is if you're called in for an interview, maybe you're one of the 3 finalists for the job, the employer has that right to ask for a background check. Well, now they've reviewed your application, they've talked to your references, you've had a prior interview to sell yourself, and then you can say, well, when you do the background check, you're going to find that this happened 10, 12, 15 years ago.
Don't you think, though, that the law today to expunge records, meaning clearing up records, should be eased up a little bit? Today, if you have more than one, just if you have 2 felonies, and there's some exceptions, but 2 felonies on your record, you cannot get that record expunged. Shouldn't we ease up on that?
I think that we should review it. I think that it should be expanded, especially there are some areas where it's the policy not to allow an individual to plead to less than 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 counts. It may be one incident. You have people that may have had made a bad decision, charged with 12 counts.
Right.
And then they plead out to 6 counts. And then 10, 15 years later, they've no more contact with the law. They've gone back to school. They may have had some employment opportunities. And oftentimes, this occurs when people are young. All right?
Go ahead.
We've said it. I don't know why it's so matter of fact to just dispose an argument that says we don't have the right to ask an employer about their background. We should know. I don't want to, if I get ready to apply for, let me tell you, if I get ready to apply for a job and I don't have a criminal record, and then I work at that job and every day I see my employer showing up drunk as a skunk, chasing people around. Well, not you. And having all kinds of problems and whatnot. Then at a later date, I find out that this person has previous convictions on activities. I feel like I wasted my time.
Okay, but the
wait, and here's the last point. People that flaunt money and do things incorrectly and the company goes under, and I get a message on Monday when I show up to work that we're closed. And I don't don't know what happened. And then I find out this is the second or third or fourth time that this individual has not paid these bills or whatnot.
You're talking about the boss
Why
now.
can't we
You're talking
have
about the boss now.
full
Again, that's none of your
exposure for
business.
everybody?
That's none of your business. The employer does what the employer wants to
That's
do.
what a conservative in Ann Arbor would say.
That's what a thinking person would say.
A conservative in Ann Arbor
To
would say.
this lady's
I think
argument,
it gets away from the point.
to the judge's argument, you know, one of the things that's happening in our society right now, and we're seeing this more and more. We just saw a straight-up criminal get shot dead pulling a gun on a cop with 13 prior convictions in Milwaukee, and people are excusing all of this stuff all the time. It's like, at what point do we stop saying yes when we should be saying no? I mean, how many convictions? How many convictions do you have to get before you finally say, hey, put this guy away for a long time?
But that's not the issue. The people that are looking for jobs are not the folks that have been put away for a long time.
And I get that.
And when they come out, they have to be supported by someone. So they're either being taken economics out of the family or the
job.
I'm not talking about the employer obligation. I'm just saying give a person an equal opportunity
And as an employer, I
to
would.
come in.
I want to sit there and talk with them and get to know that person.
and
get a
I
feel
told
for 'em.
you that the statistics say that that doesn't happen. Listen, I interviewed a kid looking for a job several years ago, and this young man had a criminal conviction, he told me, and I asked him what was it. He said murder. So I talked to him about what happened.
I'd say thank you very much. We'll keep your resume
Yeah,
on file.
but guess what? I talked to him
there's
about
something
it.
in his head that
Well,
went off at
something
one
in your
point,
head
and it
that
could
would have
go
made
off
you
again.
say that.
Maureen, go ahead.
But
Oh, in a
here's what
split
happened.
second.
What happened
I'm not hiring a murderer.
listen to what I'm trying to tell you. What happened was he ended up at his mother's house, and the mother's boyfriend was beating her up. And they got into a fight, and he was killed. Okay? Now, he didn't hurt anybody else. He was defending his mom. You would say thank you very much.
We always go to the most egregious offenses. You can have a felony conviction for changing a number on a temporary license plate. All right, it's wrong, but it's a 5-year felony. There's no discretion in terms or difference made between the person who has a felony for changing a number and one who has a felony for armed robbery.
Judge, let's take a look at the research that we've made. Let's see if we get this other graphic up here. That employers today, according to some research, they'd be more willing to hire someone that was on welfare, that had no work experience or a lengthy unemployment record versus someone that has a criminal history. Those are the stats right there in big, big numbers. Is that really fair? I mean, when you are, shouldn't we ease up and allow these people who have done their time, they're off on parole, they have a good record, get rid of their felonies so they have a better chance of getting a job.
Hang on a second. I would urge people to do that, absolutely.
But the law says you can't
mandate it. You can't, this government overreach on everything is so out of control. We're accepting it now as this is the way it should be because it makes life fair. Life's not fair. Life has sharp teeth.
And you want to keep it not fair.
No, it's not. You can't make things fair, sister. You can't do it.
We're just asking you to look at it in terms of the day.
All for that.
From here and forward.
If somebody comes to me across the desk and they're applying for a job and I'm talking to them and they murdered somebody defending their mother, I'm probably going to hire that person.
Yeah,
but I'm going to take it's my decision. It ain't the government's job.
What if you murdered your mother?
Judge,
you should not need to know that.
This is one of the most interesting conversations I've had on the show.
When we look at the statistics in terms of people who have a felony conviction, there are far more people who are placed on probation for a felony than there are people who are incarcerated for a felony. But a person who is placed on probation for a felony, that means whatever behavior that it was, antisocial, it wasn't severe enough that we felt that they needed to be incarcerated. But they cannot get a job either. All right, so we have all of these people who never went to prison, never went to jail, but they still cannot get a job.
But how many convictions does it take before they put your butt in jail?
One.
The FBI, I want to know, is it a legitimate Maureen, excuse me, for the employer, though, to feel like if they do hire this person, that they are taking a risk and this person could possibly reoffend? We can't act as though every person with a felony conviction is a good guy or a good woman who now is just looking for work.
I think you should take into consideration whether or not the offense offense has any relationship to the responsibilities of the job. You should look to see whether or not they participated in any rehabilitative programs.
Amen.
You should examine the length of time between when the offense occurred and when they are now bringing forth letters of recommendation.
Okay.
All right. Judge Maureen Theron, let's hold that thought right now. We want to hear from you.
That's right. Coming up next, we will share your thoughts live on the air. All you have to do, again, is use that hashtag, #LetItRip. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Now it's time for you to be a part of the discussion. Maureen, the first question will go to you from Christine. She says, I definitely think that employers have the right to know, as I was raised being told that there are consequences to your actions, so they will have to deal with this for the rest of their lives. And I, as a potential co-worker, also have a right to know.
I think full disclosure on both sides is the appropriate way to go. I think if I was hiring someone, I would want to know their background, but when I interview people for jobs, I tell them I've been arrested 3 times for picketing. It's okay.
Let me get Andrew Wright's Theron. I'm a felon for pot when I was 21. I'm 31 now. When does the punishment stop, Theron?
The punishment stops as soon as you get out of jail for serving your full sentence. Good behavior gets you not going in the hole, not getting out of jail early, and then once you're out, people need to give you a second chance based on what you bring to the table.
All right, Alvin, let me ask you this one. This question coming in from Kathy saying, as an employer, I would want to know, we have hired parolees, they never stay. Do you feel like if you would have had one of the jobs that you applied for, you would have stayed and been a productive employee there?
Yes, I kept a job when I was in prison. I didn't have a problem working. I'm on time. I was here on time. I do everything on time. So I don't have a problem working. It's just a case-by-case situation. So they just had bad felony.
Judge, let me get you real quick here. Most employment has a 90-day probation, case-by-case performance. What's wrong with that? Keep the laws the same and let the guy prove himself, or girl, when he gets the job.
It would be wonderful if they got an opportunity to have the 90-day probationary period. But if the door is never open to you in the first place, there's a problem.
And we will leave it right there. That's it for this edition of Let It Rip Weekend.
Remember to head over to fox2detroit.com for all the news of the day. Have a great day. Bye-bye now.